Welcome to Fantasy Football Today Dynasty. I am your host, Heath Cummings, joined today by a first-time guest, I believe. I'm not sure why it's a first-time guest, actually, because Bob and I have talked a lot in the past. Bob Gilchrist, thank you for being here. Looking forward to talking to you about Dynasty, but just tell everybody a little bit about what you do within the fantasy space.
Well, I am part of Fantasy Cares and the Scott Fish Bowl. We are the largest charitable fantasy tournament in the world, and we are a 501c3 that is able to support other 501c3s. That's pretty much it.
That's a great start. You guys know I've talked about Fantasy Cares a lot. Fantasy Cares has helped us out with the St. Jude Draft-a-thon in the past. Fantasy Cares, I just got a text a couple of days ago from a friend at a local shelter that Fantasy Cares has helped support in the past that was looking for some donation items, and it just made me think of the I think we did it 2 years ago. I believe it was directly tied to my terrible DJ Moore call that year. Maybe it was 3 years ago. And I had to make a donation every week that he wasn't a top 12 wide receiver or something. That was an expensive venture. We'll talk a little bit more about what Fantasy Cares has coming up and how you guys can be a part of it a little bit later. On today's show, we are talking about Dynasty buys, some guys that you should buy before we get into point scoring season. And I want to tell you guys, like Bob is also a long time Dynasty player. I've been in a couple leagues. I think may still be. Did you just drop out of Auction Addicts, or are you still in?
Yes, I did. The one quarterback just threw me off.
And my favorite thing, one of the questions today I took from our DMs, but my favorite thing is to go through people's Twitter feeds and find something to talk about. And just if you want to know about Bob playing Dynasty, he has a tweet pinned from May 12th of 2021 when he was unable to trade Christian McCaffrey for Kyle Pitts, I believe, if I read that tweet correctly. And first off, thank you to whoever said no to that from Bob. Second off, man, was the Kyle Pitts experience a wild one and may not be over yet. Wouldn't it be great if that story had a happy ending? I want to talk on a couple of quick notes real quick. So last night before the game, we get this note. Brian Robinson Jr. is not even going to play in the Commanders game because they've mutually agreed that he's not going to because they're trying to trade him. It is, I guess I'm supposed to call him Bill now. Bill was this thing I thought everybody was joking on Twitter, but then they come out and say he prefers Bill. Ja'Cory Croskey-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill Croskey-Merritt season. Everybody is racing to see who can elevate him the fastest and victory lapping their round 4 rookie draft picks. We're talking about buys today, Bob, but I think my natural instinct when I see a round 7 pick get gassed up like this before he plays an NFL game is profits. What type of profit can I make on this situation and just lock it in before I have to worry about if everybody's right or not? So I guess let's put it this way. If somebody sent you, let's say you took Ja'Cory Croskey-Merritt in round 4 of one of your rookie drafts, and somebody sends you an offer today for a 2026 second. Are you just going to take that profit?
Yeah. You turn a 4th into a 2nd any day. I'll take it.
I think
before he takes a snap, it's a different story if he's out there playing and he's producing.
Right. And it was a nice preseason run last night, but we've seen a lot of nice preseason runs in the past, guys. I think that you could probably get that deal done in just about any league. And if you're a true believer, if you're somebody who, when you took him in round 4, thought that he should have been an early round 3 pick or something, maybe you're not taking that deal. On the flip side of that, a lot of uncertainty about Brian Robinson, more talk that I see in the Dynasty community about why would any NFL team give anything up for Brian Robinson Jr.? Is this a buy opportunity for him?
I would say no. I mean, I would want to see where he lands first, but
right.
I'm not risking it on a running back.
Right. And you will probably hear a few things you guys have heard John Bosch on this show a couple of times. And I think Bob's view on running backs very similar to John's. I'd rather not have any until I absolutely have to. And it's the beginning of the season, so nobody absolutely has to yet. Speaking of running backs, Daniel Jones has been announced as the starting quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. I'm sorry, that was mean. I had this tweet.
They had two running backs for quarterback.
Yes, I had this tweet all ready to fire up, and I'll just give it to you guys. Daniel Jones currently has the third most pass attempts of all time for a quarterback with a career touchdown rate below 3.2%. Number 2, directly ahead of Daniel Jones, is David Carr. He only needs 27 pass attempts to pass David Carr. Number 1 is Joey Harrington. He needs about 328 to pass Joey Harrington. So my question to you, Bob, with Daniel Jones opening the season as the starter, I don't think anybody expects Daniel Jones to close the season as the starter, or maybe will after getting benched for 4 weeks in the middle of the season. Does he pass Joey Harrington in career pass attempts? He would need 328 to do that this year.
How many did he have last year? Yeah, he could.
That's probably 11 games.
11 games is 11 games would be about the most he will play this year. So I'll say yes.
You're gonna say yes. I'm gonna go under, and I probably have to have a little pie on my face here because I have called Anthony Richardson a good buy on this program in the past, and now he's even cheaper. It's rare that you could get a quarterback with his type of upside for a round 2 pick in a super flex league, and maybe on the waiver wire in a 1 QB league. Is this a buy very low opportunity on Anthony Richardson, or have you given up?
I was buying him going into the season.
Yeah.
I'm not buying any more. I will hold the ones that I have, but I'm not gonna actively go out and try to buy him right now.
And I think that's a good middle ground. If you're not like me and you don't want to buy Anthony Richardson, or if you already did and you're mad at me, now's not the time to sell. And with that upside, now is certainly not the time to cut. There is still, I think, a better than 50% chance that Anthony Richardson starts a game this year. And any time he starts, there's about a 50-50 shot that he gives you a start-worthy performance. And so if you're just out, at least wait until that happens. Of course, I know how you guys work. As soon as that happens, you're going to decide that Anthony Richardson is a good buy again, and you're not going to want to sell him anymore. But I would not sell Anthony Richardson right now. I know the upside is certainly intoxicating. We'll start with nice start. We've started, but let's move on to 3 questions for Bob. This one was motivated by the DM that you sent me, and also just our common affection for the same buy all summer. I didn't know you had this, but I've been doing it too. So who has been your favorite buy of the summer?
Definitely Debo. I don't know why he's going so late in redrafts, and nobody wanted him in any dynasty leagues. He was selling relatively cheap. I think I got him in the Scott Fishbowl in the 10th round.
Yeah, and that was cheaper than I did. So now I'm kind of upset with you about that. But I always hate it when you're in this tournament with like 4 million people and you see somebody got one of your favorite picks 2 rounds later. And that's like, well, I can't win. No, that's not true at all, but that's the way it feels. There's a lot of different metrics to use in terms of trying to decide who I think is a buy. And so what I did this month was just look at the ADP over at Dynasty League Football and my rankings and the guys I'm quite a bit higher on. I think that eventually ADP is probably going to catch up to where I'm at on them. Deebo Samuel in the month of August, ADP for Dynasty Leagues, wide receiver 54. Behind Kyle Williams, behind Trey Harris, behind Khalil Shakir, behind Stephon Diggs, behind Michael Pittman, and obviously about 50 other wide receivers. The reports out of camp have been fantastic. Cliff Kingsbury coached against this guy, knows how to be successful with him. Even when Terry McLaurin's back, He functions perfectly opposite Terry McLaurin, who operates in the deep part of the field, Debo in the short area part of the field. So I guess we just talked about taking a profit with Corey Croskey-Merritt. We've been able to buy Debo really cheap all summer. I think we probably both expect he's going to get off to a good start because he's healthy right now, and that's been the biggest problem over the last couple of years. And Terry McLaurin's not there. Is there going to be a profit-taking opportunity in the first month of the season with Debo, or is this someone that if you're contending, you just want him on your roster because he's going to help you win?
That's exactly what I was going to say. You look at your record. I mean, if you're not in contention, then yeah, you cash in on him. But he's going to produce all year, and I don't know how he dropped so low. I mean, 2 years ago he was in top 10 in talks for top 10.
Right.
Or 3, and the amount of drop that has happened for not even an injury or anything, it's amazing that people have given up on him.
It really is, and like I get it. He's 29, so one of the things I noticed is I'm generally pretty lower on those older wide receivers than what consensus rankings are. And that's because I try to factor in rebuilders as well. And Debo wasn't particularly good last year. So that's a little bit of a concern. I don't think he was healthy. He had the pneumonia issue. He's had the injury issues. And I think he's going to probably a better pass offense than what he was in last year. There's a consensus right now, Bob, and this is amongst, I'm not expecting necessarily for you to have a strong opinion on the draft classes. But the people that I bring on that are Devy guys or look into college draft classes are much more excited about 2027 picks than 2026 picks right now. Generally speaking, next year's pick is always worth more than the following year. Like that's just kind of the general rule of thumb. That's flipped on its head right now. I guess I wonder from a strategy standpoint, do you just accept that as it is because that's how most people are valuing it? Or is it a good opportunity to buy 2026 picks and know that, like most years, they're going to increase the closer we get to that draft?
Yeah, I'm going to want the 2026 still, just because I'm going to be stuck with the 27s for another year. Yeah, the value will go up because everyone gets that itch come draft time that they want a bigger piece or get a piece of the draft. And that's when contenders can cash in.
We've talked a little bit about contenders and rebuilders at the start here. People have different strategies on this. I'm perfectly fine walking into week one, having already torn it down and tanking for a year, and then let's try to win again in the future. There are some people that don't want to sell any vets yet because this is fantasy football. We have no idea what's going to happen. I want to get a month into the season and see if I'm competitive. And if I am, then if I'm not, then I'll start selling. Where are you at on that spectrum?
I'm always retool rather than rebuild.
Okay.
In a lot of the leagues that I play in, which are mostly Bosch leagues,
right.
There are second chance. So if I have a team that's getting older, I will enter the second chance draft and try to retool that way rather than try to rebuild it.
Before we go to our first break, we've got a potential disaster here, and YouTube chat members, you will definitely, maybe one of you has a way to reach out to him. So Matt Walters from the chat, I don't believe that's his real name, won one of the listener spots into the FFT Dynasty League. I've given him a couple of days of not getting responses. I've got 10 other people waiting to start that draft. So I'm starting that draft at 2 p.m. today. So Matt needs to really respond in the next 30, 45 minutes. If you're in a league with him, I think he's in a league with some of you guys. You started a show league for the fans. So if you can get a hold of him and tell him, go accept your email invite so you can be in the FFT Dynasty League, great. If not, there we go. That's exactly what I was looking for. Somebody says, I can connect with Walters. Here's the thing. It has to happen in like the next 30 to 45 minutes. So make that happen. Get him to accept that invite. If you don't, then when we get to the very end of the show, I'm just going to have to pick somebody else. Now, a couple of you that just volunteered to connect to him, you might not want to do that now because you can get in the league. But if you can get a hold of Matt Walters, please get him in the league. Otherwise, I will have to replace him at the end of the show. You can give him a hard time as well if you would like to. That's perfectly fine with me. Let's take our first break. When we get back, we'll get to some of my favorite Dynasty buys.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. So even if you can't count on accurate expiration dates,
that is a rookie mistake,
or people appreciating your fashion sense,
Jim, the crowd is not on board here.
you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
Glad we wear our good jerseys.
Yeah.
Look at this community. Way to go, guys. Matt Walters is in the chat. I hope he's in his email. I hope he's accepting his invite. I've sent you a couple of them. So if not, send me another email and we'll get this figured out. I'm glad we could end this on a happy note because I was really going to feel bad about having to replace Matt. My favorite buys. I've broken this down into a couple of different categories. So first, my favorite contender buys. We'll talk about those guys. We'll take a break. We'll talk about my favorite rebuild buys. Much shorter list, obviously, because rebuild teams are generally looking for picks. I've got 2 quarterbacks, and I'll just kind of give you my rankings where the ADP is. Bob, you can push back. You can agree. I'll give some reasoning. We'll move forward. So at the quarterback position, Jordan Love. And I've said this already this offseason, but people tell me I say the same thing over and over, so it's fine. I love the fact that last year I got to be the guy that hated Jordan Love because I was slightly below consensus. And now I get to be the guy that loves Jordan Love because consensus fell so far. I don't really believe what they did last year offensively is what Matt LaFleur wants to do. It's contrary to his entire nature as an offensive coordinator. And Jordan Love was hurt half of last year. Seems to be healthy now, except for the left thumb, but that's not going to be a long-term concern. And he got a number 1 wide receiver in Matthew Golden. He's QB 15 in current Dynasty ADP over at DLF. I've got him at QB 8. And the second one, I've said this one all summer. I don't have to say it much. Justin Fields is currently QB 22. I've got him at QB 15. QB 22 is dirt cheap and maybe getting cheaper because, oh no, he didn't look good in the preseason. He's improved as a passer every year in the NFL. I think that matters more than what he's shown us on 15 snaps and in a couple of practices. How do you feel about buying Jordan Love at QB 15, Justin Fields at QB 22?
Yes and yes. Jordan Love, I've got somewhere around 8-9 like you. Herbert, Bo Nix, Kyler.
There's that mega tier right there, right? Some people put Bo Nix and Drake May in that tier. Some people have them ahead of that tier, but it's the mega tier of low-end QB1s. And right now, Jordan Love is at the end of it.
And, Justin Fields is similar to Richardson, where you've got this tremendous ceiling that is worth the 10th round pick that it's costing you.
I have this bad habit, Bob, of when the show's going on, I'm reading the chat too often. And I just love seeing this comment from Matt 1 minute ago. Wait, am I in the Dynasty League? Matt, the last person in the world to know. Yes, Matt, you are in the Dynasty League. Accept your invitation. We will start the draft. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah, maybe you're in the FFT Open also. I don't know much about that, but you're definitely in my Dynasty League. So let's get that taken care of. So total agreement here on buying Jordan Love, buy Justin Fields. They're both cheaper than they're going to be in a month. Let's get that taken care of. Running backs, I've got 3 of them at widely different costs. So I kind of thought maybe August ADP doesn't take into account yet enough of the contract for Kyren Williams, but he's still at RB 14. This is a guy who's had 21 touches a game each of the last 2 years. They added a day 3 running back, and everybody's convinced they don't want to do the same thing, even though it's the same quarterback. It's the same head coach, and he's RB 14 with a brand new contract. He's my RB 6, which I know is too high for a lot of people, but RB 14 is way too low. Tony Pollard, currently RB 28. I've got him at RB 23. That's a guy I think that probably, like Kyren, I say for contenders, it's probably for teams that don't know either, those middling teams. that he might make you a contender. I wouldn't suggest many starting running backs for rebuilders, but there's some backup running backs we'll talk about in a little bit. Tony Pollard might be the most cost-effective, surefire starter available in dynasty leagues right now, in my opinion. And then the third one is Austin Eckler, who's currently RB63 in the dynasty ranks. You might be able to get him for a third-round pick. When him and Brian Robinson were on the field at the same time last year, there was like 1 point per game that separated them. Eckler is an almost free flex option in full PPR. And if Robinson is on his way out, I would kind of expect, as long as he's healthy, his touch share goes up playing with a rookie, not down. Should be very involved in the passing game. Still pretty efficient most of the time as a rusher. So the three options you have here: Kyron Williams at RB14, Tony Pollard at RB28, Austin Eckler at RB63. What if there's not any you disagree with? If there is, tell me. If there's not, which of those? Your favorite?
No, there's nothing there that I disagree with. And I mean, Tony Pollard at 28th, you said?
28.
I mean, he's a starting running back for a team in the NFL. Yeah, wow. That's amazing. And then Austin is just going to get more touches with the Brian Robinson news. That's another great buy. Yeah, great choices.
Do you think at the running back position, like at wide receiver, it seems like they're pretty loosely tied to what we think is going to happen this year? In fact, often not even tied to what we think is going to happen this year. At the running back position, like there's some reason. Obviously, if you got one guy that's a top 12 running back and he's 26, and one like Derrick Henry that's 31, the 26-year-old should be a lot higher. But these values should be tied much more closely to what they're going to do this year, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's, you buy the age. How many years in a row is Derrick Henry going to retire the next year? And he puts up career numbers
over and over and over again. So when you don't really like to roster running backs that much, but when you get into contention mode in the middle of the season, are you generally looking for those older guys because they're cheaper?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like Josh Jacobs is one that I targeted last year. At the end of the season, I gave my first round pick this year for him in a couple leagues. Derrick Henry, if you didn't already have him going into last year, you weren't getting him because Contender had already bought him the year before. But yeah, those are definitely anyone 25 and above you're looking at.
Right. And like I said, Kyron's up all the way up at RB14, so he is more expensive.
Right. He's 24 years old. I meant age, sorry.
Right. Yes.
So he's 24, so he's just on the cusp. Next year he's a good buy.
Okay, three wide receivers I've got here. Again, very different profiles. Rome Odunze, currently wide receiver 21. Jordan Addison, currently wide receiver 34. And Cooper Kupp, currently wide receiver 57. Kupp, I think it's one thing I noticed, and I mentioned this earlier. The older wide receivers, I'm not higher than ADP on very many of those guys. Kupp is a guy who I'm right at his ranking at 57. But remember, my rankings take into account both rebuilders and contenders. So if you're a true contender, someone like Cooper Kupp should be much more valuable to you than he is in my rankings. Again, kind of like Debo, except he's older. But he was unhealthy at the end of last year, struggled down the stretch, was on pace for 170 targets through week 12, and goes to a place where it's just him and JSN. I think we get a good season, a bounce-back season from Cooper Kupp for as long as he stays healthy. Addison has the 3-game suspension, but unlike Rashee Rice, we know it's 3 games at the beginning of the year. If the person who has him is discounting him and you're a true contender, you should be able to absorb those 3 games pretty easy the way dynasty rosters work. True contenders should have enough depth that those 3 games don't really hurt you, and maybe you just picked up a wide receiver 2 for a wide receiver 3 cost in the second half of the season. And then Rome Odunze, I think people are just maybe underestimating it's not whispers, it's not murmurs, it's a little bit more than that he might just be the best wide receiver on the Bears this year. high draft capital last year, stuck in a bad situation in a terrible offense with a rookie quarterback and 2 guys ahead of him. Could be Rome Odunze's time to shine. Of Odunze at wide receiver 21, Addison at wide receiver 34, Kupp at wide receiver 57. Do you disagree with any of those? And who's your favorite?
Odunze, I'm not as that high on.
Okay.
I want to see a little bit more from him. I'm in on the Kupp for sure.
Right.
And what was the third one?
Addison at wide receiver 34.
Yeah, Addison's basically free right now.
Right.
So yeah, he's worth
It's interesting, and we're not talking about him today because I don't think he's a buy. I'm below consensus on him, but we haven't seen yet the real hit to Rashee Rice's ADP. And I don't know what that's going to look like in September, but there's such a wide range of opinions on how this whole thing's going to work out. I would rather have Addison than Rice right now in a dynasty league.
I'm going to go with Rice.
Yeah. And I think most people seem to look at this situation as he gave me enough at the end of his rookie year and the start of his second year that I know he's a top 12 wide receiver. I just have to get through whatever the suspension is. I am a little bit more skeptical just because the best of Rice and the best of Worthy didn't happen when they were playing together. Well, it was 3 games from Rice in Worthy's first 3 games of his career, and then the rest was before Worthy. And Worthy did all of his damage after Rice left. But Worthy was a first-round pick and may get an extended runway to play without Rice again this year. And the way Rice has produced fantasy points, he's the second wide receiver in the last 7 years to have a season with more than 100 targets and an ADOT below 5. Those short area targets. The other guy was Wan'Dale Robinson. And that's what Wan'Dale Robinson's production was. That's what generally an 8 under 5 looks like. It's not what Rice has done. So I just think I've got a few more questions about Rice, but that's not what we were talking about. We got a couple of old man tight ends to wrap things up amongst the contender buys. Travis Kelce currently tight end 14 in dynasty rankings. Bob doesn't like that one way or the other. We're about ready to find out. And Zach Ertz currently tight end 32 by Dynasty ADP. I think there's different expectations here. I think Kelce can give you a top 5 year this year. Zach Ertz can just be a low-end starter, but they're both way cheaper than that.
Yep. FSGA in the Experts League, I took Kelce in the 4th round.
Yeah.
He was and I had him the fourth tight end off the board. I see this as his farewell tour, his last year, and Mahomes will pepper him the ball. It won't be like last year,
and he looks much healthier. I think he's taking care of himself this offseason.
Well, Taylor is. Taylor's got him, but he's over that little love phase, so now he can work his way back into football.
Focused on what's important. Do you have any other veteran contender buys that I didn't mention that you'd like to acquire? Andrews. I mean, Debo's still a great buy, but besides him,
Mark Andrews at tight end.
Okay.
He was injured last year, and he has dropped off the map from being the consensus number 2 tight end, or 3, top 3. It was Laporta and Kelce and Andrews. Another one that I see, yes, he's coming off an injury at wide receiver, is Brandon Ayuk.
Okay.
And was it Juwan Johnson, the other wide receiver in San Francisco?
Juwan
Jennings, yeah. So he's another one that you see in the late rounds that I don't understand why. I mean, he put up numbers when Debo was out or Ayuk was out. So those are a couple.
I have Kelce, Njoku, Andrews back to back in my dynasty rankings. I'd probably have Njoku a little higher if it wasn't for the fact that I'm the world's biggest Harold Fannin fan and he's a free agent after this year, and I think he might just be somewhere else. If you told me he was going to stay with Kevin Stefanski, I'd probably have him higher. But I have those 3 back to back at 10, 11, 12. When you look at ADP, Andrews is at 9, Njoku's at 10, Kelsey's at 14. I think at cost, we're probably both going to say we prefer Kelsey. But if you're just a team that's trying to win it all this year and you've got to go acquire one of them, let's say the cost is the same, which were the three would you prefer?
I mean, I'm gonna still take Kelsey because I'm playing for this year.
Right.
I mean, in most of my leagues, I'm playing for this year, and he's got the highest ceiling. If I'm not playing for this year, I'm probably gonna go Andrews.
Okay.
He's got a couple more years. He's 27 maybe.
He and Njoku are both going to be 29.
29.
I always hesitate in the middle of the season to say what age they are because I keep track of the player's age by what their age will be on when they play week 1. Just kind of a common reference point for everyone. And so he and Njoku will both be 29 at the start of the year.
Yeah. So, I mean, if that were the case, I would probably, if I'm playing for next year, I would go Andrews. One is a little bias in my family for anyone with type 1 diabetes, but
I understand.
but he's still a good player.
Right. Let's take our second break. When we come back, we'll have a few rebuilder buys for you. I will check, see if Matt Walters actually got signed up for the league so I can start the draft. We are back. I got a few rebuilder buys for you, just one quarterback. And I don't have a lot of strong takes about Cam Ward as a prospect or what type of success he's going to have. But I will say if you're rebuilding and you have one of these 30-plus-year-old quarterbacks and you're not sure if they're still going to be good by the time that you're good, and I'm talking about Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, guys in that range, you can trade one of them and get Cam Ward plus. All of them well ahead of Cam Ward, who's QB 20 in current Dynasty ADP. And I think the way we generally treat first-round picks or number one overall picks at quarterback is I've got a 3-year runway to find out if this guy's good. He's not going anywhere for the next 3 years. It doesn't always work out that perfect. But you remember how bad Bryce Young was his rookie season. He's heading into year 3, and we're optimistic. So would you, if you were looking at your roster, and maybe this is a decision you make in October if you've got Goff, Mayfield, or Dak, maybe you think that they're going to give you a chance and they don't. Would you be willing to give those guys up for Cam Ward plus?
Yes. I mean, NFL saw something in him. They drafted him. You got to give him a chance on your roster. I mean, there's a lot of smart people in the NFL, and you go where the money goes.
Yep. So we can confirm Matt Walters has joined the league. We are going to start the FFT Dynasty League Superflex draft as soon as I finish this podcast, and get excited. We'll be keeping you guys updated on that for the next couple of weeks during the draft. For sure, it's a slow draft, but also throughout the season. I have 2 running backs. People often think one of these ADP is not going to be right, so we're going to have to bump it up, but I don't think it'll bump as high as me. Braylon Allen was in August, it's still August, RB 43 in Dynasty ADP. Trey Benson, RB 41. We've got day 3 rookies that are being ranked ahead of Benson and Allen, who were both pretty decent prospects coming out of the NFL. Allen is just getting all types of steam for the Jets as the David Montgomery without the touchdowns, probably because the Jets offense isn't that good. But it may be the future running back. And the thing I love about Braylon Allen is he's still just 22 years old. He's just 21 years old. He'll be 22 next year. So I know you're aversion to running backs, but when you're rebuilding, can backup running backs be a good way to just turn a profit because they turn into starters?
Absolutely. You want all the high-end number 2 running backs you can get when you're rebuilding. Because
are these do you think good targets?
What was that?
You think these 2 are good targets, or do you think Allen, because of all the recent positive buzz, is going to be too expensive now?
I haven't tested the market on him. I will after the show. But I'm gonna say that I think you can probably get him for a late second, because you're a contender if you're gonna try to grab him. Or if you're rebuilding a third. So late second, early third. I think you might be able to get him right now. And I don't know where
Trey Benson was actually RB 41, just 2 spots ahead of where Allen was. I think probably where Trey Benson still is now is RB.
I'd be less on him. I like
You like Allen more?
I see him at RB 30 here.
Okay, so maybe I was looking at the wrong ADP, but or maybe we're looking at different ADP or a different value chart. There's so many different ways to look at it. But yeah, I think
that's high.
James Conner's another one of those guys, like you said with Derrick Henry, who is now too old, but just keeps producing. I am willing to bet on a running back that I liked quite a bit coming out of college, and Conner finally falling off the cliff. But there's certainly no guarantee that it happens. 3 wide receivers. Jameson Williams, I think, has a lower ADP in Dynasty than he does in redraft at wide receiver 32. Matthew Golden 1 spot behind him at 33. Luther Burden at 39. We see it every year. I don't think it's going to happen with Golden. I think Golden's the number 1 wide receiver week 1 for the Packers. But with Burden specifically, we see it every year that rookie wide receivers get off to a slow start, get a little dip in value, and then explode and win people leagues. And that's the exact vibes that I'm getting with Luther Burden.
Yeah. He's either going to make your team or he's not going to make the Bears roster. It's such a widespread out on him. So I mean, he can't cost you that much to grab him if
he is a swing for sure. I think I was seeing him fall to the middle of round 2 in rookie drafts most recently. And so if I'm a little bit higher than most, but I'd give up 2 seconds for him. You might be able to get him for 1 second. So I'm not quite giving up a first, although I think there's a chance that you trade a first away from him. Now, you wouldn't trade a first if you're a rebuilder, obviously, but I think there's a chance that a good team trades a first away and ends up feeling good about it if things go right. But you're right. It is a big swing play with Golden. Jameson Williams has been a drumbeat guy all summer. Dan Campbell says that everybody talks about how Jameson Williams is a different player, expanded route tree. You're going to see more of him. Are you buying into that hype on Williams?
I'd love to see an expanded route tree for him. Because he is great with the deep ball. I'm in. I will add him to any contender.
And then nobody will be surprised by my suggestion at the tight end position, because I talk about him every time we talk about rookies. It's Harold Fannin, currently tight end 21 in Dynasty ADP. He may not help you at all this year, but like I said, David Njoku will turn 30 next year, has had an extensive injury history, is a free agent after this year. And Harold Fannin rested with the starters in the team's last preseason game. There's a lot of talk about him maybe playing as many slot snaps as any wide receiver with Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman on the outside. They love this kid and they want to get him involved. Tight end 21 is way too low. Again, another difference maker that somebody just drafted with a 3rd or 4th round pick in your rookie draft. I should say potential difference maker. Somebody just drafted with a 3rd or 4th round pick. They might think it's a gift that you're offering him some combination of 2/3 or something like that in the future. They just made a profit and he didn't do anything yet. I think you will be glad that you did. So again, the rebuild buys for me: Cam Ward, Braylon Allen, Trey Benson, Jameson Williams, Matthew Golden, Luther Burden, Harold Fannin. A lot of rookies that I think are not being valued high enough right now. You have any other
Kyle Pitts?
Kyle, did you mean that?
Yeah, why not? If you're rebuilding, you go grab him and see what happens this year. Second year with the young quarterback.
Do you have any teams that don't have Kyle Pitts?
Oh yeah, I have plenty now.
No, I think I laughed really loud. The talent's still there. He didn't get monstered, I don't think.
No,
I think he probably still has the abilities. Bob, before we close up, and I appreciate you coming on today, I wanted to give you just a minute or two to talk about what Fantasy Cares has coming up this season during the year. Because I think people think like Scott Fishbowl's over. You guys are, Fantasy Cares is done doing stuff. We've done multiple fundraisers I've participated in the year. Do you have anything lined up for in season with Fantasy Cares?
Yeah, we've got things going on right now. We're doing an end of summer giveaway. For any donation to their campaign, we have a huge giveaway with like 1 in every 3 people are going to give one of the gifts. And we have best ball going on. We have a eliminator challenge as well. Survivor and eliminator. And we will have our shows weekly, recapping the week of Scott Fishbowl. And Wednesday nights, we just hang out and talk about food. We talk about everything, any shows, and we'll throw some football in there.
So we got
Zach Reed, myself, Scott, and Russ Fisher.
And go check out the Fantasy Cares YouTube. Make sure you're following them on social media.
There's always giveaways.
Lots of giveaways. I would guess at some point this fall I'll be doing something to try to raise some money for somebody, and so pay attention there. I'd say that like we're still finishing up St. Jude month. I am not going to be here on Friday because I'm going to Memphis for the St. Jude Creators Draft, and we'll be doing a Twitch, and I'll be on CBS Sports Network for a while talking about that wild. I don't know if you guys remember this from last year, but it's a wild draft with a bunch of people who, they're content creators. They are really good at doing things to help raise money for St. Jude and doing things to make you laugh. So it's going to be a good time. Make sure you guys check that out. I'll post a link over on Twitter on Friday morning so you can watch that. I think it starts at 11 Central, so 12 Eastern. And then next week on Wednesday, we will have our main draft-a-thon show here on YouTube on this same channel. You guys we'll wrap that up. We smashed our record of 125,000. We've passed our goal of 150,000. So what do you do when you pass a goal? You set another goal. We might as well go for 200,000, right? Let's finish this up strong.
Absolutely.
We did have one comment I wanted to give you a chance to reply to in the chat, and you're probably nervous because you think it was one of the Fantasy Cares guys giving you a hard time. It's not. Somebody says, Bob is in my division this year in Scott Fishbowl. No offense, Bob, but I'm going to destroy you and everyone else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
Bob's
very good challenge.
This is Bob acting like he's been here before.
I mean, I am the Jeff Fisher of the Scott Fishbowl. I go 8-8 every year. So as long as you're above 500, you got a good chance. You got a 50-50 chance.
The great thing is that if you score enough points, 8-8 can be good enough to get you in the playoffs. You just got to score enough points. Thank you, Bob, for being here today. Thank you to everybody at Fantasy Cares. We appreciate what gets done through that organization. And I thank you to everybody who's donated to St. Jude and who participates in Scott Fishbowl or anything Fantasy Cares related. Thank you to Harry for making everything work. Thank you to Matt Walters for joining the Dynasty League so we can start the draft. Thank you to everybody who was active in the chat. We will talk to you next Tuesday.